Hey folks, we're on here with AccuWeather.com. I'm with Caralton, and he's a part of Daisey's Cruises. How you doing, sir?
Good.
Good. I want just a couple of seconds. What are we seeing out here?
Well, we're looking for ponies on Assateague Island. That's what we're doing.
Now, what's the difference between Chincoteague and Assateague?
Well, Assateague is federally owned, and Chincoteague is owned by a lot of individuals.
Okay. The ponies have been here for how long?
Since the 1600s.
1600s. Okay.
1600s.
Okay. Awesome.
Yeah. Well, we're going to go right up there.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're going to talk about all these ponies here when we get up there closer. Two of my other boats here, there and there.
Okay. This is a nice, folks, when you come down to the island, this is absolutely the place to come. This is a good family island.
Certainly is.
And the people here make you feel like you're at home. They really do. I've noticed that. They're real homey. Except for a couple. Well, that's true. But you have that in every community, right?
Right.
You know? That's right. And now, another thing about a pontoon boat, which this is a pontoon boat, folks, it allows you to go into areas that are real shallow, right? Which allows you to sneak up closer to the horses and the wildlife, right?
Yeah, it allows us to get
As
closer
compared
to
to
land.
a V-bottom.
Oh, sure, yeah.
Not to say it's a jet boat, but
this thing only draws about 1.5 feet of water, so we can get up close. As we're going to do here in just a minute, we're going to get up close to this one.
Over there you see the pony, and that's the other. Well, you'll be talking about this later, but
yeah, I'll be talking about
this is all salt-laden marshes. How can the horses survive? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
that's amazing.
They've been doing it for a long time.
Right.
The vets can't really figure it out.
Yeah, the vets
can't.
But
you know, it's all salt, high salt content. But here they are. They've been here for a long time.
There's a baby colt there with us. See it, guys? It's a baby colt.
Well, it's a baby horse.
Yeah.
A colt is a boy.
Oh, okay.
This is a boy.
This is a boy?
Yeah.
What's the girl called then?
Just a filly.
Oh, filly. That's right. Okay. That's right.
There's some nice birds over here too. I don't know if you're birders, but look at that skimmer. See that skimmer going along the water? Right to the left.
Oh, yes.
I love skimmers.
Yeah, they are. Those skimmers are nice.
They've got one bill longer than the other, you know, and they just glide along the water.
Well, there we go. Good picture of the Daisy boat there. Awesome. Awesome.
Okay, so do you know how these horses got here? No? All right. So they came in Spanish galleons in the 1600s. The Spanish used to bring the horses on the boats to do the work for them. Hopefully when they found gold and silver and minerals, they'd be able to pull them out of wherever they found them. So they would always bring them on the ships to do the work. And when they run aground off here, there's 12 miles of shoals off here. And it was uncharted back then. And they run aground in storms and sink, and the horses would swim ashore. And it's here in Carolina. You know about the ponies in Corona. The fire company started managing them in 1925. That's when they took them in. Now you see that 13 on her hip? That's the year she was born. That horse was what we call a buyback. They have a permit to have 150 horses over here. So what happens, they sell every baby every year. So they'd run out of horses sooner or later because they die off. So what they do, they hold back 8 or 10 every year. And they call them buyback because people buy them and they go back to Assateague. And that's how they select the ones that they want as buybacks. And usually they've got a little Arabian blood in them. We have some Arabian blood introduced over here in about 20 years ago.
Now, where did that come from, the Arabian?
The Arabian brought it from Florida.
Okay.
A full Arabian.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, he's not here anymore, but he's got a lot of blood here.
Are those horses out there too?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
they're a little far back from the shore. We can see this one a whole lot better.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And this one's got a baby, so
Right.
we're going to go look at them too. But while this one's close to shore,
I don't
wanted to
understand though.
watch
Why do they favor this size so much more than, or they just know
these.
there's a
No,
lot
they
of
roam.
traffic?
They graze.
roam?
They
Okay.
graze.
Okay.
They could just as easily be up by the road.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. They've got a. This is the southern pasture.
Okay.
They have a northern pasture.
Now,
Just
how
5
old
miles
is
from
the?
White House. This
now,
baby's probably 2 weeks old.
Really?
Yeah.
Looks like it. That's awesome.
The life cycle is normally the baby's born, the mare will go into heat 7 to 10 days after the baby's born, and then she'll have another baby 11 and a half months later. So it's almost, you can set your clock 12 months to the day when she drops the baby, that she'll have another one the next year. So yeah, the firemen, the town of Chincoteague burnt down twice back in the early 20s. And the last time it burnt down the firefighting equipment too. So they had to figure out a way to raise money. And so every year on Assateague, that's where the settlers first settled in the 1600s, they had sheep penning over there. It was a big party. And they rounded up all the sheep, they sheared the sheep, that's what they made clothing out of. And so there was all these horses and babies everywhere, roaming all over the village. So they said, why don't we round these ponies up, swim them over to Chincoteague, sell them, have a little carnival, and we'll raise money. And this is the 90th year that they've been doing that.
Wow.
And they've raised millions and millions and millions of dollars.
Now, I had read the census. There was a lot of horses back then at one time.
Yeah, I don't really know how many horses
I think there was
actually.
over 300. 300 and
Maybe
there was a
so.
lot. How
Maybe
many are
so,
there?
because they were here for,
all those years, yeah.
Yeah, they were here for 300 years before anybody started managing them.
The herd now, how big is the herd now, would you say?
Around 130 to 150, somewhere in there. You don't know for sure.
Now, who decides the number? The firemen or?
No, the Wildlife Refuge.
Oh, do they? Okay.
Yeah,
They're the ones who
issue a
control it.
permit.
Oh, okay.
An annual permit.
I hear you.
So they sell all the babies every year. Only the babies. Last year they sold 55.
Wow.
And they averaged about $2,700 a piece.
And that price has been pretty steady over the years too.
Well, ever since they've introduced the Arabian bloodline, it gave them a lot better conformation. They're a lot prettier to look at now. And also they have a Chincoteague association, so they have a breed in and of themselves.
Okay.
So they have Chincoteague pony shows, and you can have a champion Chincoteague pony, and then it.
Now the Arabian blood's going to make it a little bit bigger though.
A little bigger, a little longer.
Longer, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep, it is. It's going to take them up to 14 hands sometimes.
Okay.
Yeah, Assateague Island's about 13,000 acres. Whoop, she's walking right at us. I've seen them put their head right down in the salt water. I mean, the salt water's up to their eyes almost. They love that salt water that's underwater. Let's make it a lot more tender or something for them. Now this is her first baby, because she's only 3 years old. Typically they go into heat when they're 2 or 3. That's why she's not with the other herd. She's protecting this baby from all the rest of the horses, because she don't want anything happening to it. Sooner or later the stallion will herd her up. She'll go into heat if she's not already. And
I heard a stallion just died too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was a 22-year-old stallion that just died this year. They just found him. And he was the most famous stallion in the last 20 years over here. His name was Surfer Dude. And he sired a lot of babies that were buybacks.
Wow.
So he's got a lot of his bloodlines are still over here. She's a pretty girl.
Is that about the lifespan, 20-something?
No, for a stallion, 18 to 21 or 2, they get in fights and they get a little older and they're not as quick and they're, as they were when they were younger, and they just they get hit in the head or they break a leg or who knows what happens to them. They just nobody really witnesses it. You know, they just notice they're missing. Then they go looking for them. Sometimes they find them, sometimes they don't. The life cycle of a normal mare, I would say, is probably, I don't know, 25 to 30 years. And what happens to them most of the time is it's a lot of mud out here, a lot of soft area. And when you get older, you get a little arthritic, and your four-wheel drive doesn't work as good.
Right, yep. They have hip dysplasia.
And they need that four-wheel drive.
Yeah.
And when they get stuck in the mud, usually in the winter, they can't get out, then they just freeze to death or hypothermia, fall asleep.
Here she is, she's milking. She was.
She's trying to.
She's trying to milk, yeah. She's like, Mama.
Hold still.
I just saw fins.
Hang on.
I saw fins out there, by the way.
Where?
Whenever we were back, I had to zoom out there. There were fins out there.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. Yeah. It was that 4,000-pound Mako shark out there.
Oh.
I saw 2 or 3 fins out there. I didn't see anything.
A dolphin.
I didn't see them breaking water, but yeah, I seen them. Yeah. Now there's all the horses back here in the background.
That's a bunch of them right there.
Oh yeah, there's out
There's
there.
a lot of buybacks in there too. There are 14s and some 13s. But the stallion to that one herd, you see that really dark horse on the right?
Okay, yeah.
Make sure, give me my binoculars. Make sure I'm telling you right.
Dark black one.
Oh yeah. Take these
Okay.
binoculars and look at those. Look at that horse that I'm talking about. You see his white?
On the right, where the two of them are, or on the right?
No. Back, the one's right in the center.
Okay.
You see that his mane is dark, is light blonde. See that horse is really dark with a white face and a blonde mane and a blonde tail? He's just to the right of that main herd, right in the middle.
Yes.
He's got his head down eating.
Yes.
That's a beautiful picture right there with that water up high.
Oh yeah, it's
the ponies
gorgeous.
right in front of it.
It never gets old, does it?
Not to me.
Not to me either.
I love looking at ponies. I want to straighten up here in a minute. As soon as I
Okay,
get down
okay.
to Fort Myers, Florida, and I had a house down there, and we sold that house, and we started going full-time RVing in 1997 when my last kid left the house. We sold everything and took off RVing for 3 years, and we were leaving, and that hurricane was like a couple days out or something. I'm telling you, it's like all along the shoreline, all the way from the campground all the way to Memorial Park back there.
So the horses that swim from there?
No, they swim.
Yeah,
Wednesday. They swim from there to here. And then they'll swim them down, or they'll walk them down to Main Street about a mile. Then walk them up Main Street about a mile.
So they're swimming for about a quarter mile then, huh?
What?
They swim about a quarter mile?
No. This is probably only 250 yards.
Oh, okay.
Something like that.
Okay.
It's not terribly far. It takes
And
one
they
horse
swim at low
4.5
tide.
minutes to swim across.
Oh, okay.
One horse.
And they're swimming low tide too, right?
No.
No, high tide.
No. Sometimes they swim high, sometimes they swim low. All they require is that the tide is slack. In other words, it's not rising, it's not falling. It doesn't matter which. They don't want the tide to be pushing the horses.
There were some big seagulls. I forgot what they call them.
Herring gulls.
Herring gulls.
Or
okay.
blackback gulls.
That's what. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're big. And boys are like the eagles, man.
Do you have any questions about the pony swim?
So, you bring people out here?
I've got 118 people going out. Full.
So because we've been on this cruise, we can, the next year maybe get on, right?
Well, there was still room on the swim back. The swim back and that's interesting too, because there's no intervention from people when they swim back. All that group of horses you saw over there will be swimming back. There'll be about 50 of them. And once they get on this side, on acid tick, there's nobody over there to tell them to go here or go there. So you never know what they're going to do. Normally, every time I've seen them, they've walked down the shoreline, or the stallions have fought because they're mares. Guys will go harvest the oysters and clams, and they'll put them in here.
Okay.
And wait until they get a market for them
Okay.
and send them off. There's some oysters.
Yep, there's the oysters,
There's
yeah.
some clams.
Yep.
No, I don't see any clams. All right, it's just oysters in here.
You pay for a dinner or something?
Do I what?
Do you have to pay someone for it?
For what?
Using the space.
No. This is a commercial guy.
Oh, okay.
This guy is going to ship those off to parts unknown.
Mm-hmm.
Those are oysters. Let's see if there's any clams in this one.
What's the difference between an oyster and a clam? I mean, they look the same.
Well, no, they
No?
don't. No,
Okay.
they look. You know, oysters kind of has jagged edges, and
Okay,
oyster
okay.
and yeah. There's some, and
Okay.
well, you can see it. There's a clam. See
Right,
those
that's
clams?
a clam. Okay.
Yeah, those are clams in those baskets too.
Okay.
Can you see those clams? Yeah. We'll stop at another place and get a
Now
better.
they raise oysters. They have oyster farms. They raise them
They
with clams.
have
too?
aquaculture oysters here
Okay.
and wild oysters
Okay.
and aquaculture clams.
Okay.
And of course the clam buries in the mud, buries in the sand. And an
Oh.
oyster sits on top.
Right.
They don't
Wow.
bury.
Man, are they pretty? Look at that. Two different types too.
Yeah, well they're the same type actually. It's just one's
Male and a
female, one's a
female?
male, yeah.
Oh, okay,
The
okay.
black one is a male and the browner
Okay.
one is a female. Those are cormorants. That's the best fishing bird in the world right there.
Really. I used
Yeah.
to. Oh, I never knew what they were. I've always seen them. You know.
They have no oil gland. So that's why they sit on these poles. They have to dry off. You know, a normal bird has an oil gland and they waterproof themselves. Well, this bird doesn't have one, so he has to sit out.
What did you call it?
Building.
What kind?
Let them look at it from the water.
What now?
Yeah, I think we got a bird up in these trees. I'm not sure what type. I think it might be the eagle.
What'd you say? I'm sorry.
So what kind of bird was that?
Those are cormorants.
Okay.
Cormorants. As soon as they jump in the...
Yeah, we were in Florida, the Orlando area in January, and they had anhinga.
And
They are the
Angus,
same
yeah.
thing.
Yeah, they call that the snake bird.
Right, and it was so funny how
Right.
they sat out there like
and it's
this.
the same, they're a relative.
They didn't
they're
have-
not the same breed, but they have the same genetics in that they don't have an oil gland.
Right, but it helps them hunting so
Absolutely,
that they
'cause
can get the fish back.
They're not buoyant. You know, when they stop swimming, they just stay right down there. Most other birds
Yeah.
pop right to the top.
Yeah.
So an anhinga or a cormorant just hangs right down there on the bottom. And if they don't get out of the water sooner or later, they'll drown because they get so inundated with water.
I see you hiding over there.
Who?
That white bird. I can't. I
Oh.
see the head of it. Herring.
Yeah, that's a common egret.
Egret. Okay.
Yeah. Of
Okay.
course, these are duck blinds.
Yeah, duck blinds. Right. Yep. Yeah.
Can you go up the lighthouse or can
Yeah.
you just go to it? We were riding the bikes today and we went by it, but we didn't stop.
You could have gone up there
Okay.
if you get by the mosquitoes or the bugs. They're pretty bad over there right now. But yeah, you can on the weekends. It's open. 175 steps up to the top. 142 feet tall to the top.
That's my next project. I gotta contact as many lighthouses as I can on the East Coast. You know, and I'm gonna put them on the website. We're gonna be promoting them and helping them out.
Of course, the Coast Guard has abandoned this one. This doesn't have anything to do with it
Right,
anymore.
right, yeah.
And then the Historical Society and the Refuge kind of manage it now.
Yep.
The Historical Society runs, lets people in and out.
Right. Yeah, I gotta go there tomorrow and go up there and do a story on them tomorrow, so I'll be. And if you think about it too, a buddy of mine, he just retired from the Coast Guard. He was up in Booth Bay Lighthouse. He was one of the last, well, the Coast Guard still took care of the light and all that. They still take care of the light here, don't they?
They take care of it, not the Coast Guard. I mean, it's still operational.
I thought the Coast Guard took care of the light.
Nope, not anymore. They used to, but no more.
Well, because I was talking to the ranger over here, and he was telling me that he said that they take care of it or something. I don't know. No?
Well, that would be new to me. I mean, they
Yeah.
used to.
They
but
used to,
They
yeah.
don't anymore.
Uh-huh. There's the lighthouse. It's
And this is the best. This is where you see the most of it. You can see it's pretty high off the ground. That's about a 20-foot above sea level where the base of that lighthouse is built. Now this is the second lighthouse was built in that same location. The first one was built when the war was over. They needed the money
okay.
to fight the war. So this opened up in 1860, and there was 3 families lived at the base of this lighthouse for 100 years.
Wow.
Toting oil. First whale oil,
Whoa.
and then kerosene.
Wow.
And it was tough because, you know, when you have a light, oil light, it has soot, and it nastied the lens up. It sooted the lens up.
Yeah.
So they had to go up there and scrub on that lens every day, tote oil up there every day.
It's a wonderful job. Early American job, you know?
Yeah. And this is where Aztec Village was. This is where settlers first, I mean,
Huh?
this is where the settlers first settled in the 1600s, was Aztec Village.
And where was the village at, do you know?
And the lighthouse wasn't here. It was right here.
Oh, right here. Okay.
Right
the
here.
village was right here. Okay.
Yeah, way before the lighthouse was here.
Did
the
they
village was here.
ever excavate, or did they
No.
ever?
This is a wildlife refuge. If it was a national park, they would probably excavate it and reconstruct the
Yeah,
reconstruct
you're
the
right.
village.
Yeah, you're right. This
But
is
a wildlife refuge doesn't
You don't
do
do
that.
nothing.
They don't
right?
restore anything.
Right. Yeah.
No.
That's your hands off. Right.
Yeah.
That's right
And
there.
The property line to not let the people cross his property line,
Wow.
and so that cut off their access to their livelihood.
Okay.
So they said, well, I can't stay here, I got to move. So what they would do, they'd dig a ditch, right, let's say here in front of us, wide enough for a boat to go into. They'd roll their house down to this ditch,
Okay.
and then they put a boat in there at low tide. So when the tide would rise, the house would float, and then they reverse that process over on Chincoteague.
Okay.
They dig a ditch, they put it in on high tide, the tide would go out, the house was on Chincoteague. So
Okay.
they started moving off, and then this guy died, left